thousands of naira and said, "One day I'll come back. Show me what you did with it." What would you do? Spend it, save it, invest it, or would fear make you hide it? Now, here's what's fascinating. Jesus told a story almost exactly like that. Many people read this parable primarily as a lesson about money, but Jesus is pointing us to something even bigger: faithful stewardship. But what if the bigger lesson isn't about how much you make? It's about what you do with what God entrusts to you. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells the story of a master preparing to leave on a long journey. Before leaving, he calls three servants and entrusts his wealth to them, not equally, but according to each person's ability. One receives 5 talents, another receives 2, the last receives 1. A talent wasn't a small coin, it represented a large amount of money. The first servant immediately goes to work and doubled what he received. The second does the same, but the third servant does something unexpected. He hides what has been entrusted to him, and the reason why might surprise you. He looks at what has been entrusted to him. He imagines what could go wrong. What if I lose it? What if I fail? So instead of risking failure, he chooses what feels safe. He digs a hole and buries it. When the master returns, he asks each servant to give an account. The first two hear the words each believer longs to hear: "Well done, good and faithful servant." The third doesn't. Not because he was given less, but because fear kept him from being faithful. And that's where this story begins to challenge us. When I first read this parable, I focused on the money: 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent. I wondered why one servant received more than another. But then I noticed something I had overlooked. The master never expected them to produce the same result. In fact, the Bible says he gave to each servant according to his ability. That changes everything, because God doesn't measure your faithfulness against someone else's assignment. He measures it against what he entrusted to you. The servant with 2 talents didn't double 5, he doubled 2. Yet when the master returned, he received exactly the same praise as the servant with 5. Not "Well done, successful servant," not "Well done, richest servant," but "Well done, good and faithful servant." In God's kingdom, faithfulness matters more than comparison. And that's incredibly freeing, because you don't have to live someone else's calling. You simply have to be faithful with yours. Then I noticed something else. The third servant didn't lose the talent. He didn't steal it. He didn't waste it. He buried it. Why? Jesus lets us hear the servant's own explanation. "I was afraid." Think about that. The greatest obstacle wasn't a lack of opportunity. It was fear. Fear of failing, fear of taking responsibility, fear of getting it wrong. And fear still buries God-given potentials today. How many businesses are never started because someone is afraid? How many dreams never become reality because fear whispers, "What if I fail?" Faithful stewardship requires trust, not reckless risk, but obedient action, because the safest place isn't always where nothing can go wrong. Sometimes the safest place is simply being faithful where God has called you. But perhaps the most important lesson is the easiest to miss. The servants never owned the talents. They belonged to the master from the very beginning. And when he returned, he simply asked for an account. That's what stewardship is. It begins with recognizing that everything we have has first been entrusted to us by God. Our money, our business, our abilities, our influence, our time, none of it is truly ours. We are managers, not owners, and managers are measured by one thing: faithfulness. That's why this parable is much bigger than finance. Jesus is asking every one of us, what are you doing with what I entrusted to you? Not why don't you have more? Not why does someone else have 5 while I have only 2? But what are you doing with what I've already placed in your hands? Maybe you've been praying, Lord, give me more money, more opportunities, more influence, more resources. But there is nothing wrong with asking God to provide. But this parable gently invites us to ask a different question first. So before you ask God for more, pause and ask yourself, am I being faithful with what He already entrusted to me? Because one day, every believer longs to hear these words, well done, good and faithful servant. Those words aren't spoken to the most gifted or the wealthiest. They are spoken to the faithful. So whatever God has placed in your hands today, whether it feels like 5 talents, 2 talents, or 1, whatever God has placed in your hands today, don't ask first if it's enough. Ask if you're being faithful with it. Biblical wisdom for everyday life.